But when this emissary arrived in Tehran, discovered really the Shah couldn't do that and was not willing to do that.
In March of 1951, the Anglo-Persian Oil Company is nationalized. I want you to, if you can, reflect on how that goes down in the West. And something that I found very interesting that you point out in your book is you note that early on, around that time in the 1950s, the American strategy is to convince Mossadegh to agree to some kind of hollow form of nationalization or phony nationalization of oil. What would that mean exactly?
Well, as soon as it was Mossadegh actually became prime minister, the U.S. Truman sent a special emissary to Tehran to try to persuade the Shah not to sign the oil nationalization bill. They misunderstood the constitution. The Shah didn't have those powers not to sign it, but the Majlis had already voted on it. So the Shah's signing was a pro forma thing. But when this emissary arrived in Tehran, discovered really the Shah couldn't do that and was not willing to do that, he came up with this quite clever formula where U.S. would accept in principle the notion of nationalization. So that U.S. could argue that U.S. is not against nationalization. But when it came to actually drawing up a new concession, the US would insist that Iran would not actually control the oil industry. It would be controlled by either the British or a consortium, which
Right.
eventually was. So it was a lot of double talk, but
Right.
it was a very clever double talk because the press and the outside world, right from the beginning and even continues to the present day, think that the US actually accepted and was willing to agree to nationalization,
But
which was just not true.
it's interesting too in what it says about what the U.S. thought of Iranians or the prime minister that the idea that look, we'll let you run around saying that you nationalized, but we won't actually let you do it, and no one will find out, surely.
Yeah.